Welcome to this deep dive.
Okay.
And we're going to be exploring the fascinating world of power dynamics. And we're going to be going way back, using history as our guide, with Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power as our main source.
Okay.
And Greene himself drew inspiration from figures like Machiavelli and Sun Tzu, people who really understood how power works.
Yeah.
So get ready to uncover some timeless patterns.
All right.
And maybe even gain a strategic edge in your own life.
What's really interesting is that these laws aren't just about ancient history.
Right.
They're about the patterns of how power is gained, held on to, and sometimes dramatically lost.
Yeah.
And these patterns, they repeat themselves throughout time.
Okay, so let's jump right into law 2.
Okay.
Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies.
Interesting.
Now, that title alone is a bit jarring. I mean, shouldn't we be able to trust our friends?
That's exactly what makes this law so compelling.
Okay.
It challenges our assumptions about loyalty and trust.
Yeah.
Especially when power dynamics are at play.
Okay.
Greene illustrates this with a rather chilling story about Michael III of the Byzantine Empire and his trusted friend, Basilius.
Okay, so Michael is this young emperor.
Right.
And he's got this best friend, Basilius. They came up together, shared everything.
Right.
The kind of bond you think would be unbreakable.
Exactly.
But Basilius, as it turns out, is incredibly ambitious.
And Michael, perhaps a bit naive, promotes Basilius, giving him more and more power.
Yeah.
It's almost like he doesn't see the potential threat.
And then, bam, Basilius stages a coup and takes over.
Yeah.
Michael is completely blindsided.
Wow.
He literally can't believe it.
Oh, wow.
Until Basilius has him assassinated.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a brutal reminder that even those closest to us can be driven by ambition.
This story isn't just about ancient history.
Okay.
It's a cautionary tale that's relevant today.
Right.
Think about your own life.
Yeah.
Have you ever been surprised by the actions of someone you thought you knew well?
Yeah.
Someone you trusted implicitly?
This law really gets you thinking about the signs, you know?
Exactly.
Like, how do we spot a potential Basilius in our own lives?
Right.
What are the red flags that maybe we're overlooking because we want to believe the best in people?
That's a crucial question.
Yeah.
It's not about becoming paranoid,
Right.
but about developing a healthy skepticism.
Okay.
Understanding that even good people can act in unexpected ways.
Right.
Especially when power is involved.
Yeah.
Ambition, envy,
Yeah.
even a sense of being overlooked can drive people to do things they wouldn't normally consider.
And then there's the second part of this law, learning to use enemies.
Interesting.
This seems even more counterintuitive. How can we possibly use our enemies?
Greene gives the example of Mao Zedong, the leader of the Communist Party in China during the Japanese invasion.
Right.
Mao made a surprising decision.
Okay.
Instead of joining forces with the Nationalist Party against a common enemy, he chose to maintain a level of conflict with them.
So instead of uniting against the bigger threat,
Exactly.
Mao kept this internal conflict simmering. Why would he do that? It seems incredibly risky.
Mao understood that maintaining a level of conflict kept his troops sharp and ready. It prevented complacency.
Right.
Think of it like a muscle.
Okay.
If you don't use it, it weakens. By keeping the conflict alive, even on a smaller scale, Mao ensured that his forces remained adaptable and vigilant.
Okay.
Ready to face any threat.
That's an interesting way to look at it. So it's not about actively seeking out enemies, but recognizing that sometimes a degree of competition, even conflict, can keep us on our toes, make us sharper.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack from just one law.
It is.
So we've got to be wary of blind trust, keep an eye out for ambition, and maybe even learn a thing or two from our rivals.
Now let's move on to Law 5, which delves into the art of deception.
Deception?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued already.
This one is particularly fascinating.
Okay.
Because it's about subtlety and misdirection, not the overt, mustache-twirling villain type of deception.
Tell me more.
Okay.
What kind of deception are we talking about here?
Greene uses the story of Ninon de l'Enclos, a 17th century French courtesan, to illustrate this law.
All right.
She was known for her wit and wisdom, and she mentored this young nobleman on the art of seduction.
Okay, so we're talking seduction here.
Yes.
But how does that connect to power?
It's not just about romantic conquest.
Okay.
It's about understanding the power of appearances and using them strategically.
Okay.
Ninon taught this young man the importance of creating a smokescreen, as Green calls it.
A smokescreen?
Yes.
Okay, now you've got to explain that.
Right.
What's a smokescreen, and how do we create one?
Imagine a magician, right?
Okay.
They distract you with one hand while doing something else with the other.
Right.
A smokescreen is similar.
Okay.
It's about using the familiar, the seemingly harmless, to hide your true intentions.
Right.
It's about misdirection.
Okay.
Leading people to focus on what you want them to see.
Yeah.
While you maneuver behind the scenes.
So it's not about being sneaky in a cartoonish way. It's more about being subtle, almost blending in.
Yes.
But how do we apply that to real life? Give me an example.
Right.
Like something I could use at work, say if I'm trying to get a new project approved.
Let's say you have a proposal that's a bit radical.
Okay.
A real departure from the usual way of doing things.
Okay.
You could create a smokescreen.
Right.
By presenting it alongside a few more conventional ideas.
Okay.
This distracts from the boldness of your main proposal.
Right.
Making it seem less threatening, more palatable.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
So you're essentially camouflaging your true intention by surrounding it with things that are familiar and expected. No one even notices the real play you're making.
Exactly.
And the beauty of the smokescreen is that it plays on our natural tendencies.
Right.
We tend to focus on what seems obvious, what confirms our expectations.
Right.
This allows the subtle, the unexpected to slip right past us.
This is making me think about all the times I've been completely taken in by someone who seemed so harmless.
It's like they lulled me into a false sense of security and then bam.
Right.
They got what they wanted.
Green provides some great historical examples of this.
Okay.
Like Haile Selassie, the emperor of Ethiopia.
Oh, yeah.
He rose to power by appearing completely subservient, non-threatening.
Yeah.
No one saw him as a threat until it was too late.
It's like the classic story of the tortoise and the hare, right?
Precise.
The hare is so focused on its speed and flashiness that it doesn't see the slow and steady tortoise overtaking it.
Exactly.
It's a reminder that power isn't always about brute force or overt dominance.
Right.
Sometimes it's about understanding human psychology, using misdirection, and playing the long game.
This is making me rethink how I approach situations, how I present myself.
Right.
It's like I've been given a secret decoder ring for the world of power dynamics.
This is amazing how these historical examples can shed light on the dynamics we see playing out in our own lives.
That's the power of studying history through this lens.
Right.
It allows us to recognize these patterns and understand how they've been used throughout time.
But we've only scratched the surface, haven't we?
We have.
There are so many more laws to explore.
We've only just begun.
Okay.
Next, we'll dive into Law 31.
All right.
Which takes us into the realm of control.
Okay.
And how to subtly influence decisions.
Interesting. So we've talked about trust, or rather the lack of it. And deception as a tool for power.
Right.
I'm starting to see the world in a whole new light.
That's the exciting part of exploring these laws.
Right.
They give us a new perspective on human behavior and the subtle dynamics that shape our interactions.
Speaking of subtle dynamics, Law 31 is all about control.
Right.
Specifically, control the option.
Get others to play with the cards you deal.
Okay.
It sounds like a poker game.
It is, in a way.
Okay.
This law is about subtly influencing choices.
Right.
Framing the decision-making process.
Yeah.
So that the outcome is more likely to go in your favor.
Green tells this really interesting story about an Armenian king who sets up this challenge to find the most outrageous liar in the kingdom.
Wow.
The winner gets a golden apple.
It seems like a silly contest.
Right.
But it's actually a brilliant demonstration of power.
Okay.
The king, by setting the terms of the competition, is already controlling the outcome.
Right.
He's the one who decides what constitutes a good lie
The winner of this contest was this really clever guy. He understood exactly how to play the game.
Right.
He told these increasingly outlandish tales, each one topping the last.
Wow.
Until he managed to make the king doubt his own senses.
He essentially forced the king into a corner.
Where the only option was to declare him the winner.
Yeah.
It's a masterclass in manipulation.
So it's not about outright force.
No.
It's about creating a situation where the choices are limited and all of them lead to the desired outcome.
Exactly.
That's sneaky.
This kind of subtle manipulation happens all the time.
Right.
Not just with kings and golden apples.
Okay.
Think about negotiations.
Yeah.
Marketing. Even everyday conversations.
Right.
When someone presents you with a limited set of options, they're already steering you in a particular direction.
That's making me think about those limited time offers.
Exactly.
We see everywhere. It creates this sense of urgency, like you have to act now or miss out. They're controlling the options, making it seem like there's only one right choice.
And it plays on our fear of missing out, our desire to get a good deal.
Right.
We often make decisions without fully considering all the possibilities.
Greene also talks about P.T. Barnum.
Yes.
The famous showman.
Right.
He was a master of this law, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Barnum was known for setting up rigged card games.
Yeah.
Where you could only choose between two bad options. It was a win-win for him.
Right.
A lose-lose for everyone else.
That's so devious.
It makes me want to reevaluate every choice I've ever made.
Right.
Did someone subtly manipulate me into choosing what they wanted me to choose?
It's not about becoming suspicious of every interaction.
Okay.
But about being aware of these dynamics.
Right.
Understanding how choices are framed.
Yeah.
And how they can influence our decisions.
Okay.
Sometimes it's as simple as asking yourself, are there other options I haven't considered?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Awareness is key.
Right.
It allows us to step back from the situation and make a more informed choice.
Yes.
Rather than just reacting
to
the options presented to us.
From control.
Okay.
Let's shift gears to something a bit more mysterious and maybe even a little unsettling.
Okay.
Law 27.
Right.
Create a cult-like following.
Cults.
Yes.
Now this is getting interesting.
It's a topic that both repels and intrigues us.
Right.
Greene begins this section with the story of Giuseppe Borri,
a
17th century alchemist, and let's face it, a bit of a con man.
So not a legitimate alchemist then?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Borri was a master at creating an aura of mystery and spirituality around himself.
Right.
He claimed to have mystical visions and possess secret knowledge that could transform your life.
And people were drawn to him like moths to a flame.
People want to believe, right?
Right.
Especially if you're offering something that seems transformative or life-changing.
Yeah, but how did he do it? How did he create this cult-like following?
Greene breaks down Borri's tactics, and it's almost like a blueprint for building a cult following.
Right.
He created an aura of mystery.
Yeah.
Emphasized the visual spectacle.
Okay.
Borrowed existing symbols and rituals.
Right.
Created a sense of belonging. And even instilled a bit of fear.
It sounds like he was tapping into our deepest desires. The desire for meaning.
Yeah.
Connection, belonging.
Yes. We all crave these things.
Right?
And cults offer a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Purpose and even transcendence.
But that sense of belonging comes at a cost. Right?
It does.
Cults often demand complete obedience and loyalty.
Yes.
And they can be incredibly manipulative and controlling.
So how do we distinguish between a healthy group or movement and one that's veering into cult territory?
That's a crucial question.
It is.
And it's not always easy to answer.
One of the biggest red flags is the presence of a charismatic leader who demands absolute loyalty and obedience. Cults often isolate their members from the outside world, creating a kind of echo chamber where dissenting voices are silenced.
It's like they create their own reality, their own set of rules. And once you're in that bubble, it can be hard to see what's really happening.
This dynamic isn't just limited to traditional cults. We see it in political movements, in certain organizations, even in online communities.
That's scary.
It is.
It makes me wonder if I've ever been susceptible to this kind of manipulation.
It's possible.
Without even realizing it.
It's something we all need to be aware of.
Right.
By understanding the tactics used by cults, we can better protect ourselves from falling prey to this kind of manipulation.
So we've covered trust, deception, control.
Yes.
And now cults.
It's amazing how these laws, though, rooted in history, are still so relevant today.
It's like we can see these patterns playing out all around us.
We can.
In our workplaces, relationships, even in the media.
Moving on.
Okay.
Law 41 is all about legacy.
All right.
And the challenges of following in the footsteps of someone truly great.
Okay.
It's called Avoid Stepping into a Great Man's Shoes.
That title alone is a lot to unpack.
It is.
Okay.
This law explores the pressure of following a legend.
Right.
And how it can be more strategic to forge your own path.
Okay.
Rather than trying to replicate the success of someone who came before you.
Green uses the story of Alexander the Great.
Yes.
To illustrate this point.
Talk about big shoes to fill.
Wow.
His father was Philip II of Macedon.
Okay.
A brilliant military leader who had conquered most of Greece.
Alexander didn't just want to live up to his father's legacy.
Right.
He wanted to surpass it.
Exactly.
He needed to make his own mark on history.
Yes.
And he did so in a bold and decisive way.
Whoa.
One of the most famous stories about Alexander is how he dealt with the Gordian knot.
The Gordian knot, right?
Okay. Remind me about the Gordian knot. I know it's famous.
Yeah.
But the details are a bit fuzzy.
It was this incredibly complex knot.
Right.
That no one could untie.
Okay.
Legend had it that whoever untied it would rule all of Asia.
Wow.
Most people would have spent days, weeks, even months trying to unravel the knot.
But Alexander, he took one look at it, drew his sword, and sliced it in half.
Classic Alexander.
Right.
He didn't play by the rules.
Yeah.
He made his own rules.
It was a bold move.
It was.
A statement that he wouldn't be bound by convention or the expectations of others.
Right.
And it set the tone for his entire reign.
Yes.
He went on to conquer Persia.
Right.
And build one of the largest empires the world had ever seen.
But not everyone can be Alexander the Great.
Right.
Trying to directly follow in the footsteps of a legend can be a recipe for disaster.
It's often more effective to forge your own path, to differentiate yourself from those who came before you.
Exactly.
Green contrasts Alexander's approach with that of Augustus Caesar, who came after Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar was another one of those larger-than-life figures.
Right.
A brilliant general, a charismatic leader, assassinated by his own senators.
Augustus was smart enough to realize that he couldn't simply try to be another Julius Caesar.
Right.
So he did the opposite.
Okay.
He downplayed his own power and emphasized a return to traditional Roman values.
He presented himself as a humble servant of the people.
Right.
A restorer of order.
Yeah.
Rather than a conqueror.
And it worked.
It was a brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
That allowed him to secure his own power while subtly distancing himself from his famous predecessor.
He understood that trying to outshine Julius would have been a losing battle. So it's not about being better than the person who came before you.
Right.
It's about being different.
Yes.
Finding your own unique strengths and building your own legacy.
Exactly.
This is making me think about those times when I've felt intimidated by the success of others. Like I could never measure up. But maybe that's the wrong way to look at it.
Comparison can be a trap.
Yeah.
It's important to recognize and appreciate the achievements of others, but we shouldn't let those achievements define our own path.
Right.
Focus on your own unique strengths and contributions.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to break from tradition.
This is such a powerful lesson.
It is.
It's about embracing our own individuality and finding our own path to power.
Exactly.
Not trying to fit into someone else's mold.
And that leads us to our final law for today's deep dive.
Right.
Law 48.
Oh.
Assume formlessness.
Formlessness?
Yes.
That sounds intriguing.
What exactly does that mean in the context of power?
Right.
This law is all about adaptability.
Okay.
Being fluid and unpredictable, like water.
Okay.
Greece is the example of the Chinese Communist Party's guerrilla warfare tactics against the nationalists after World War II.
So we're talking about being adaptable.
Exactly.
Not rigid.
The nationalists were expecting a traditional war.
Okay.
But the communists kept changing their tactics, appearing and disappearing like ghosts.
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Exactly.
You never know where they're going to strike next.
Their formlessness made them incredibly difficult to counter.
Okay.
They would strike where they were least expected and then vanish back into the countryside.
It was a brilliant strategy that ultimately led to their victory. This is making me think about those times when I felt stuck, like I was banging my head against a wall. Maybe what I needed was a little more formlessness.
It's possible.
A willingness to adapt my approach.
Formlessness isn't just a military strategy.
Okay.
It's a valuable tool for navigating any complex or challenging situation.
Right.
Think about it.
Okay.
Have you ever been so focused on a particular goal that you missed opportunities that emerged along the way?
All the time. I get so fixated on my plan that I don't see the other possibilities that are opening up.
That's where formlessness comes in.
Right.
It's about being open to change.
Okay.
Willing to adjust your course based on the circumstances.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that the path to power is rarely a straight line.
It sounds like formlessness is all about being adaptable.
Exactly.
Flexible, and always a step ahead of the game.
Precisely.
Okay.
Green provides another great example.
Right.
Baron James Rothschild,
Okay.
who managed to thrive amidst the political turmoil of 19th century France.
Tell me more about Rothschild.
Okay.
How did he navigate that chaos?
By appearing to have no fixed political stance,
Okay.
Rothschild was able to adapt to the whims of whichever regime was in power.
So he had no real loyalties.
He did.
Just whoever was in power at the time.
Yeah.
That's how he stayed on top.
Exactly.
Ooh.
He protected his fortune and maintained his influence by being fluid and adaptable.
He was like a chameleon.
Precisely.
Blending in with his surroundings.
It's not about being spineless or lacking conviction.
Yeah.
It's about being strategic. Recognizing that rigidity can be our downfall.
Okay.
True power often lies in being able to bend without breaking.
This law is blowing my mind.
I know.
It's like a whole new way of looking at power.
Right.
Not as this fixed thing, but as a fluid, adaptable force.
And that's what makes these laws so fascinating. They challenge our assumptions and give us new tools for understanding and navigating the complex world of power dynamics.
Wow. We've really gone deep into the world of power dynamics today.
We have.
From the dangers of blind trust to the art of deception, the subtle ways to control choices, the allure of cult-like figures, and the challenges of carving our own path.
Exactly.
It's like I've been given a crash course.
You have.
In understanding how power operates, both historically and in our everyday lives.
And we've only just scratched the surface of what Green explores in the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
There's so much more to uncover and unpack.
Absolutely.
But what's really struck me is how these laws, though rooted in history, are so incredibly relevant to our modern lives.
It's like we can see these patterns playing out all around us, in our workplaces, relationships, even in the media. But here's the question that's been swirling in my mind. As we've been talking, if these rules of power are so timeless, and clearly they are, how can we use this knowledge ethically and responsibly?
That's the crucial question, isn't it?
Because honestly, some of these laws are a little, well, ruthless.
Knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous.
Exactly.
It's like having a powerful tool, but not knowing how to use it safely and effectively.
It's not about becoming a master manipulator or using these laws to exploit others.
No.
For me, it's more about awareness.
Okay.
Recognizing these dynamics so we can protect ourselves from being manipulated and make more informed decisions.
Exactly.
But how do we walk that line?
Yeah.
How do we use this knowledge for good? Not for ill.
I think it starts with intention.
Okay.
What's your goal? Are you using this knowledge to empower yourself? To create positive change, or to simply gain an advantage over others?
Okay.
The same law can be applied in very different ways, depending on your underlying motives.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not about the laws themselves. It's about how we choose to apply them.
Exactly.
It's like that old saying, power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
But power can also be a force for good, right?
Absolutely.
Think about leaders who have used their power to fight for social justice, to protect the environment, to advance scientific discovery, power in itself is neither good nor bad. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for constructive or destructive purposes.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
It's made me realize that power dynamics are all around us, and understanding them can help us navigate the world more effectively, ethically, and maybe even make a positive impact.
I completely agree. And I hope our listeners will continue to explore these ideas, to question their own assumptions about power. And to consider how they can use this knowledge to create a more just and equitable world.
So much to think about.
There is.
To everyone listening.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Into the world of power dynamics.
Absolutely.
We encourage you to keep questioning.
Yes.
Keep exploring. And keep diving deep